But do you know that the annual return is almost never between 8 and 12? Think
Yeah,
about
like
that.
it kills it or it gets
Dies.
destroyed. Yeah.
Think about what that means. The norm is not the average. Okay, so I've tried to suppress my tendency to talk my book until now, but I think an alternative is bonds. You know, and I joined Citibank in the investment research department in 1969 as an equity analyst, and the bank did so horribly that in '78 I was banished to the bond department, and the bond department was the equivalent of Siberia. The good news is that at that time, American corporations pretty much gave lifetime employment. So I didn't get sacked. But I'm in the bond department, and I get a phone call from the head of the bond department saying that there's some guy in California named something like Milken, and he invests in something called high-yield bonds. Can you figure out what that means? And I said, yes. And I became a high-yield bond investor. And you know what? When you buy a bond, there's a contract that says the borrower will pay you interest every 6 months and give you your money back at the end, and you can figure out the return that is implied by that contract. And if the borrower doesn't keep that contract, overgeneralizing, oversimplifying, the creditors get the company through the bankruptcy process. So the borrower has a lot of incentive to pay you, and they almost always pay. I've been involved in high yield bonds for 47 years, and I can tell you they've almost all paid. First of all, one of my sayings is we never know where we're going, but we sure as hell ought to know where we are. And at Oaktree, we loudly proclaim our inability to make macro forecasts and our non-reliance on macro forecasts. But if we want to do the right thing vis-a-vis the macro, we should be able to figure out what's going on at the present time and what that implies for the future. It may not happen, the thing you think it implies, but it probably has a higher chance of happening than not happening if you're logical and understand history and patterns. And I wrote a book called Mastering the Market Cycle, which was published in 2018. And I always say it's a cheesy title, but it wasn't my idea. The publisher wanted that title because they thought it would sell more books. But I like the subtitle, and the subtitle says, Getting the Odds on Your Side.